Hi, welcome to today's Piece of Peace. Well, today marks October 19th, and I have been in a project. We have a couple, a couple that's moving in with us. They're in transition from moving from one state to another and needed a place for a few weeks, and so we're rearranging some of our living areas and stuff. That being said, I had to go through my closet, which housed many, 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 many things. So things that I was going to get to later. I don't know, like my house can be orderly, but don't open my closets. So it's just like put that away till later if I need to. God's teaching me to take care of right now what I can do and not wait till tomorrow so things aren't overwhelming in the future. However, this is good, kind of a purging thing, getting rid of stuff that I don't wear anymore and going through things that I don't need to hold on to, and it's been good. However, I came across a plethora of my previous journals. So my time in the morning is a little bit like this. As I grab a cup of coffee with collagen and coconut creamer. You all are going to know that about me. But I curl up with a journal. And typically I like the kind that are like really bound like this. So you can flip it and write on it and stuff. And my Bible. And I just start to talk to God. I just open up with thanking Him for a new day, and I start to dialogue about what I have gratitude for and the things that my mind is struggling with and my heart is struggling with. And I've had this practice for decades of daily meeting with God, decades of conversation with Him, and decades. So I looked and found these journals. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with all of them. Because if I were to die today, many people would come to know every aspect of my life, absolutely everything I ever thought of and struggled with and joyed in. And yeah, it was an amazing thing. And I went and was going through this bag. And much like many people, when they're cleaning stuff out, you can't just go, keep that. No, you have to look through everything, got to read about it, see what was going on. And I was finding pictures of my children when they were younger, especially my two older guys, and just delighting in their littleness. And now they're grown men, and some have their own kids. And my thoughts I started to read through some of the things that I was going through at the time. And as a young mom, I brought into my marriage a ton of baggage, pains from my past, functionality from two parents that I love, yet we're human, and you pick up your parents' traits and you kind of bring them into your family of your new family, unless you do some work on the pains of your life and try to change trajectories and generational sins and hand down the generational blessings. And so I was reading through some of my struggles with God and just pleading with Him, like, Lord, I have this pattern in my life where frustrations or would come out in the form of being critical or not being gentle, being more harsh, and not choosing my words wisely that would bring life, and probably sort of dictate, do this so I could have things that were ordered so that I could have peace. And I was just realizing, even when my kids, as I was journaling this one awareness that God was bringing to my attention, in a specific incident with our firstborn, where I was trying to get some chore done. Like, that always seemed to be the priority, was getting chores done or getting the things done that we need to do. Instead of taking the time, this is why grandparents are amazing, because they take the time to look into a little child's life and enter into their world. where when we're parents, young parents, and we're trying to hold down jobs and we're financially strapped and we have all this on our plate, like we don't even know how to juggle it, manage it, balance it, anything. And so some of the frustrations come out on the ones that we love the most. Like we're in our closed doors and I could sort of snap at my husband or snap at my kids with not such a great tone of voice and not in love. And so, and that's harsh. And I was realizing and journaling at this moment, realizing that the Lord was bringing to my attention this one incident where I was trying to get some chores done in the kitchen, and I was calling to my husband, could you come and get the baby and the toddler or whatever, the baby. And they were getting into what I was trying to sweep up, and I was getting frustrated because I wasn't getting help at the meeting immediately. But then when I was journaling about it, my heart started to ache. It was as if, had I just trusted God with the chore, put that aside, take the little one and bring him someplace where I could play with him for a little bit, get him interested in something else, and then go back after he's asleep or something. But I didn't have that insight as a young mom. And I guess those were like regrets that I have. And I'm often talking to my kids, like, especially my oldest, because those firstborns, man, they cut the ground for all the rest of the kids, and then the other brothers kind of rode in the wake of what our firstborn, the new ground he had to cut. And yet I'm constantly looking at his face like, I love you. I really hope I didn't damage you in my inability to see past what I thought was urgent and move into your little spirit. But as I was recollecting one of these, there was just that, I'm even feeling it now, that little ping of pain. Like I wish I could have done that different. So I was journaling about that to God this morning because I was just like, I thank you for this new day and I'm grateful for your healing. And I need to be reminded of your love for me today. As I was going through my journals in the closet, I was reading of your healing of me to have the ability to be present to those around me instead of thinking about what I think I need to get done. And I was journaling this out to God today, and he just sort of said to me, he says, Janelle, I went in and started breaking generational sins over my kids and asking God to bring a secure attachment to each of them where I failed to show love, that he would show his love in a deep and profound way so that could bathe them in his healing where I wasn't whole at the time I was raising them. And I kept coming back to that saying from yesterday, one thing I ask, one thing I seek is to dwell in your presence every day and all the days of my life. Being in God's presence fills us and brings us into an agreement with his reality, his truth, his insight, his mindset, his spoken word, his action. I did not have that functionality as a young mom. I'm starting to have it as an older woman, as an aging woman. But I want to carry that with me so that as I interact in intimacy and relationship, that the Lord is letting me offer him instead of me and my woundedness. And those are lessons I wish I would have learned as a early 20-year-old, that I know now, that I'm learning now. And he said to me, he says, Janelle, don't let the enemy beat you up over something I've already forgiven. And that was a good word for me today. And don't compare yourself to others. Your journey is your journey. And it's the path I have you on, and it's the one I'm using in your life. And that was just a beautiful release that the Lord loved me, even as I reminisced about my functionality and pain. He brought me into the Word then. And we were in Luke today. This particular devotion I'm reading out of Our Daily Bread. But this particular devotion is written by Arthur Jackson and is titled Stronger Than Hate. So we're opening up to Luke 23. I'm going to read 4 verses, 32 through 34, and then again 44 through 40 to 47. And it starts, 2 other men, both criminals, were also led out with him to be executed. When they came to the place called Skull, there they crucified him, along with the criminals, one at his right and one on his left. Jesus said, as he was being crucified, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And I jump over to 44. It was now about the 6th hour, and darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour. For the sun stopped shining, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last. Arthur's devotion reads, within 24 hours of his mother, Sharonda's tragic death, Chris found himself uttering these powerful, grace-filled words. Love is stronger than hate. My mother, along with 8 others, had been killed at a Wednesday night Bible study in Charleston, South Carolina. What was it that had so shaped this teenager's life that these words would flow from his lips and his heart? Chris is a believer in Jesus, whose mother had loved everybody with all of her heart. In Luke 23:26-49, we get a front row seat to an execution scene that included 2 criminals and an innocent Jesus. All 3 were crucified. Amid the gasps and sighs and the likely groans from those hanging on the crosses, the following words of Jesus could be heard. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." The hate-filled initiative of the religious leaders had resulted in the crucifixion of the very one who championed love. Though in agony, Jesus' love continued to triumph. How have you or someone you love been the target of hate, ill will, bitterness, or ugliness? May your pain prompt your prayers, and may the example of Jesus and people like Chris encourage you by the power of the Spirit to choose love over hate. When his charge is this: when have you found it hard to love someone? Is there someone you find it hard to forgive right now? What steps might you take? In his prayer, "Father, forgive me when I find it hard to forgive others. Help me to demonstrate that love is stronger than hate." My lesson with this is like the Lord brought me forgiveness. The Lord knew how much I needed healing. Those words needed to be me. "Forgive her, Lord, because she does not know what she's doing." When I would take my pain and not offer grace and love to my family members. And yet, when I can stand in the love of Jesus and all that he has for me, that is what I can give away. But when I'm not experiencing love, or I don't know that I'm loved, and I have this baggage that I've brought from a past, and then I respond not in love, but just the opposite of that, what am I worshiping at that moment? We're wired to worship. We're going to worship God, or we're going to worship something else. And it could be as simple as how we speak a word, or what we allow ourselves to think or say or put our hands to. Had I known the love of God the way I do now, my ability to be patient with my children would have been huge, because he was patient with me. My ability to love my spouse would be huge, because his love for me was huge. If we have an issue with being critical, But we have an issue with being judgmental. It's because we're feeling that ourselves. Because when we experience and we understand the depth of our disparity and how much we need love, and when we get that from God, we're going to be able to give it away. So in this love is stronger than hate, it starts with coming close to our Jesus, because we need to know the depth of his love for us so that we can give that away. We need to know the depth of our own depravity and our own abilities to be hateful, to be critical, to be judgmental, because we need his love to come through us to others. Challenge yourself. It starts with us coming to be in agreement with God's thoughts, God's perspective, God's mindset, God's spoken word, God's actions. And it needs to start with us and him first so that we can give that away. Love is stronger than hate, but we can't give that away if we don't experience it ourselves from our Creator. Start there, and that will start to paradigm shift our entire world. That's today's piece of peace. God bless you.